In the beginning, God created a paradise. He called it the Garden of Eden. It was a place of beauty and wonder. Lush greenery carpeted the earth, vibrant flowers perfumed the air, and crystal-clear rivers flowed through the landscape. The Garden of Eden was a sanctuary, a testament to God's love and creativity. Into this paradise, God placed Adam, the first man. Adam was created in God's image, a being of intelligence, compassion, and free will. But Adam was alone, and God, in his infinite wisdom, recognized his need for companionship. And so, from Adam's rib, God created Eve. Eve was Adam's equal, his partner, his other half. Together, they were to tend to the garden, enjoying its bounty and living in perfect harmony with their Creator. The Garden of Eden represented a state of innocence, a time when humanity lived in perfect communion with God. God, in his infinite wisdom, gave Adam and Eve one simple commandment. This commandment was not just a rule, but a guiding principle meant to shape their lives in the Garden of Eden. They were free to enjoy all the fruits of the garden except for one, the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. This single restriction was a reminder of their dependence on God's wisdom. This tree, standing tall in the center of the garden, represented a line that was not to be crossed. It was a symbol of the boundary between divine wisdom and human curiosity. God's command was not meant to restrict Adam and Eve, but to protect them. It was an act of love, ensuring their safety and well-being in a world full of unknowns. He knew that true freedom came from trusting in Him, from acknowledging that He knew what was best for them. Trusting in God's plan was the key to their happiness and fulfillment. The forbidden fruit represented a choice to obey God's loving guidance or to choose their own path. It was a moment of decision that would define their relationship with their Creator. The tree of knowledge held the power to discern between good and evil, a power that belonged solely to God. This knowledge was not meant for human hands, as it carried the weight of divine responsibility. To eat its fruit would be to step outside of God's protection, to enter a realm where they would have to navigate the complexities of right and wrong without His guidance. It was a daunting prospect, filled with uncertainty and potential peril. It was a test of faith, a testament to their love and obedience to their Creator. Their choice would reflect their trust in God's wisdom and their commitment to His divine plan. Would they trust in God's goodness, or would they succumb to the allure of forbidden knowledge? The decision before them was profound, carrying consequences that would echo through eternity. One day, as Eve strolled through the garden, she marveled at the beauty and tranquility that surrounded her. The vibrant colors of the flowers, the gentle rustling of the leaves, and the sweet scent of blooming plants filled her senses with joy. As she wandered deeper into the lush greenery, she encountered a cunning serpent. The serpent, a creature of beauty and guile, began to question Eve about God's commandment. Its scales shimmered in the dappled sunlight, and its eyes gleamed with a knowing look. "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" he asked, his voice smooth and persuasive, almost hypnotic in its tone. Eve, taken aback by the serpent's words, reiterated God's command. She felt a pang of uncertainty but tried to remain steadfast. "We may eat fruit from the trees in the garden," she replied, her voice steady but her mind racing. "But God did say, 'You must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, nor may you touch it, or you will die.'" The serpent, however, contradicted God's words with a sly smile. "You will not certainly die," he hissed, his voice dripping with deceit. "For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." His words were tempting, filled with promises of wisdom and power. The serpent's words were like poison, seeping into Eve's heart and planting seeds of doubt. She felt a conflict within her, torn between obedience and curiosity. He appealed to her desire for knowledge, her curiosity about the unknown. The allure of forbidden wisdom tugged at her thoughts. He twisted God's words, making it seem as though God was withholding something precious from them. The serpent's manipulation was subtle yet powerful, and Eve found herself questioning everything she had been told. Eve, her mind clouded by the serpent's deception, looked at the forbidden fruit with new eyes. No longer did it represent obedience and trust. Now it symbolized knowledge and power. She reached out, plucked the fruit from the tree, and took a bite. The taste was sweet, but the consequences would be bitter. Eve, feeling a surge of newfound awareness, took the fruit to Adam. She shared the forbidden fruit with him, and he too partook of it. In that moment, their innocence was shattered. The world shifted around them. Their eyes were opened, but not in the way the serpent had promised. Instead of gaining divine knowledge, they were suddenly aware of their nakedness, and shame washed over them. The harmony they once shared with God and with each other was broken. They had disobeyed God's direct command, choosing their own will over His. The consequences of their actions would reverberate through generations to come, forever altering the course of human history. Section 5. Shame and Punishment, Facing the Consequences. As Adam and Eve hid among the trees, their hearts pounding with fear and regret, they felt the weight of their actions bearing down on them. They heard God's voice calling out to them, a voice that was both familiar and terrifying in that moment. They knew they could not hide from Him, for His presence was all-encompassing and His knowledge infinite. God, in His infinite knowledge, was aware of their transgression. He knew every detail of their disobedience. When God confronted them, Adam blamed Eve, trying to shift the responsibility away from himself, and Eve, in turn, blamed the serpent, seeking to deflect her own guilt. However, God held each of them accountable for their actions. He saw through their excuses and knew the truth. He cursed the serpent to crawl on his belly and eat dust for the rest of his days, a symbol of its deceit. To Eve, God gave the pain of childbirth, a constant reminder of the life that had been lost through their disobedience. This pain would be a part of her life, a sorrowful reflection of the consequences of their actions. And to Adam, He gave the toil of the land, a labor that would be marked by hardship and struggle. The sweat of his brow would be a constant reminder of the ease they had lost, for the ground would no longer yield its fruit easily, turning their sustenance into a daily challenge. But God, in His infinite mercy, did not abandon them entirely. Despite their disobedience, He showed compassion. He clothed them in garments of skin, providing for their needs, even in their fallen state. This act was a physical representation of His continued love and protection, a sign that His care for them remained despite their disobedience. Section 6. Temptation and Deception, Lessons Learned. The story of Adam and Eve is a powerful parable about the dangers of temptation and the consequences of disobedience. The serpent, representing the cunning nature of evil, tempted Eve with half-truths and promises of forbidden knowledge. He appealed to her curiosity and her desire for something more than what God had already provided. Eve, in turn, allowed doubt to creep into her heart. She questioned God's goodness and His love, believing that He was withholding something from her. This doubt made her vulnerable to the serpent's deception. The story serves as a warning to all of us. We too face temptations in our lives, whispers that promise us happiness, fulfillment, or power if we only stray from the path of righteousness. Section 7. Loss of Innocence. A world forever changed. The consequences of Adam and Eve's disobedience were far-reaching. They were banished from the Garden of Eden, the paradise they had known since their creation. No longer could they enjoy the fruits of the garden or walk freely in God's presence. Their sin brought death into the world, both physical death and spiritual separation from God. The world, once perfect and harmonious, became tainted by sin. Pain, suffering, and toil became an integral part of the human experience. The story of Adam and Eve illustrates the profound impact of sin on humanity. It highlights the fragility of innocence and the ease with which it can be lost. Their fall from grace serves as a reminder of our own capacity for both good and evil. Section 8. The Need for Redemption, A Glimmer of Hope. Although the story of Adam and Eve is filled with sorrow and loss, it also offers a glimmer of hope. God, in His infinite mercy, did not abandon humanity to its fallen state. He promised a Redeemer, one who would come to heal the brokenness caused by sin and offer a path back to Him. The story of Adam and Eve is not just about the fall of man, it is also about the promise of redemption. It is a story that reminds us that even in our darkest moments, even when we stray from God's path, His love and mercy are always available to us. The story of Adam and Eve is a timeless tale, passed down through generations. It serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the dangers of temptation, the consequences of disobedience, and the enduring need for redemption.